Sif to Zayin. The Rebbe is mevar before the Biur Hachassidus in the Biur Hachassidus is at the Shadish of the Hachassidus and Shema Baker or Savas Yeshma'ayin. The Hemshech what the Rebbe explained earlier that Be'etzim waking up in the morning is really an expression of a Savas Yeshma'ayin. It's just the Savas Yeshma'ayin is the extent it's able to express itself in the Metzias HaNivra is only in getting weak and waking up and becoming refreshed. The Inyona of a Savas Yeshma'ayin Kamei Shehu Mamish, that there's no way for the Nivra to, it should be expressed Kamei Shehu in the Metzias HaNivra, because the Ayin is before the Metzias, the Nivra is there. So the Nivra can't be the Inyona of a Savas Yeshma'ayin Mamish. So in what way is expressed the fact that Be'etzim the Nivra is an Ayin Ve'efes, and the fact that it exists is because the Eibush is Mahavit, it's Mizbat and Metzias Nivra, and then that every evening there's the Chalishus, there's the of the Chalishus HaMetzias, and that's really an expression in the Metzias of the Ayin, that the Nivra Metzias is Ayin Ve'efes, and then there's this Chachas HaMetzias. So in Vanet Vert is Tavas Yesh Ma'ayin from Melech Chai V'Kai, Malchus V'Yis Miuchat V'Tisayid. And the Kod Rebbe's Mavar is that why is it for Tavas Yesh Ma'ayin that for an onkom and some Malchus the way it's Miuchat V'Tisayid? So the Kuntres is that Savas Yesh Ma'ayin is the way the Rebbe is explaining here is Savas Yesh Ma'ayin is there's two nekudas here. Mitzad echad, you're giving this. There's one. The one eifin is that you have a metzias, but the mashmos is not that this metzias should be. The mashmos is that you're just expressing the kayach. I say the difference between midas and dibur by a person. In midas, they're both there's a yachas tazulas. Sayin midas and sayin dibur there's yachas tazulas. But in midas and in dibur there's both yachas tazulas. But in midas the zulas is not an inyan b'fnei atzmei. It's a prat in the person. You say Shimon is oyev Ruven. So you can't have ava if there's no zulas, if there's no subject with the ava is chal towards, there's no ava. But the nekuda is the whole mitzvah of zulas is we're dealing with what's Shimon's attitude, his regesh. There's no mitzvah of zulas as a davar of fnei as a thing for itself. We're dealing with Ruven. There's Ruven's attitude towards Shimon, but we're not dealing with Shimon kamei shuma. Shaken in dibur, the nekuda of dibur is not let's say the cha'adam ha'medaber. The whole point of dibur is to communicate to someone else. So you're giving space to someone else. The nekuda in the lakus is there's pchinas midas and pchinas malchus. Midas is that the nekuda is galus ein sof, is galus lakus. That's the Inyona of Midas. There's galus ein sof lakus. There's galus of the Eibusher's milas, his Inyona. So what would be the Inyona is havas mitzad this nekuda in the lakus where the Inyan is this galus of what a lakus is. So what would be the mashmos of a Savas HaNivra? Not that there's a Shamayim and there's a Eretz. That the Eibusher's godless was expressed. That the Eibusher's Ein Sof was misbated, is able to mispashet ad lamata mata. But do we know there was no geder, no erech to the Metzias HaNivra itself. In order for there to be a yesh, that means that the Metzias, there should be a content of Shamayim, there's an Eretz, there's such a Metzias. The Metzias of Shamayim is not a chetimtza to express Ein Sof. Not a chetimtza to express the Eibusher's godless. It's a Metzias of Shamayim, a Metzias of Rekia. We're not dealing with yeshes now that it feels itself that it's outside of the Eibusher. The question is, the Eibusher is mahavit. Let's say, what is he mahavit? Is he mahavit a metzias that kol Inyona is a chetimtza to his pashtus, or is mahavit a metzias of Shamayim, a metzias of Rekia, a metzias of Eretz? So, in order for it to be a havas of yesh ma'ayin over here, we mean to say that metzias that the world should be considered a being, should be a balerach. That's the afkim tzatfir samachos. That there's a marker in a lakus, there's an Indian lakus that Inyona is not the spashus of a lukus. Inyona is to be a makkah for a metzias. Al derech, like you have in the mashal nefesh ha'adam makayach hadibur, or the nekuda of dibur is not the spashus hanefesh. To give space to someone else, that's the nekuda of dibur. The person should be leave himself and to now pay attention and to put the focus on other. So al derech zeh you have in a lukus this Indian in order for it to be a yesh, which Inyona of the yesh shouldn't be just a chetimtza of the makkah. Yehir rakia. What are we? We're going to create a heaven. That's it. We're going to create a shamayim. For that, you have to have Sir Samachas, which is the Inyona of Sir Samachas is a market to Mahava Metzias. That's Mitzad Echad. Le'idach Mitzad Sheini, Malchus itself is not enough to Mahava Yeshmayim. Because you're creating something which Be'etzim has no Mitzad, the Nivra Mitzad Atzmi has no Metzias. Usually, you say when you get to Nivra, when you Keich HaDibur is, Be'etzim, the Zulas has value. Tzachakol, in the place of Midas, the person is when it's Nergash, his is Pashtus and Nefesh, there's no space to feel the other. But the other has value. So if Keach HaDibur, you have a Keach to relate to someone else. But Malchus, let's say it's a Keach to relate to Azulas. But there's no Zulas that exists. The gather of Mitzias and Ephraim is not a Mitzias. The Ephraim don't have value. Not only mitzad the spashus of Elokus. By definition, mitzad atzmi, there is no such a thing called the rakia. What made the fact the Eibusher is the one that's mahav and gives the rakia value. So the Rebbe says for that, in order, besides the nekuda of taking an ayin, taking a mitzvah mitzad atzmi has no meaning, has no mashmos. And that should become a yesh is dafki mitzad atzma serin sof, which is not mugder in the gedarim of any v'yesh. That's what the Rebbe says before. In other words, and this is an important point, it means that the Rebbe is saying atzma serin sof, the Rebbe is connecting it to what Al Rebbe says in Igar Sakedish Simachov, that this havos is from keich atzmos. So Al Rebbe explains why do you need in this havos yesh keich atzmos. Al Rebbe explains mitzadin of tzusim atzmos. The Rebbe is giving you a different beer why you need to have dafka atzmos, and giluyim is not enough in order for havos yesh mayim. So they're saying, Mitzad Giluyim, there's a Hagdara. There's a certain Hagdara of what's considered, what has value and what doesn't have value. So Mitzad Era Bligvul, for example, Elamus has no value. Gvul has no value. Even Mitzad Era Gvul. Mitzad Era Gvul, Ein Arich Nivra Labayris. So there's a certain gather of what has value and what doesn't have value. The Elam Haze, the Mitzvah Sayesh, has no value. Is Kenzach nicht. Mitzad Atzmi. So a Makar, which the Makar is Mugder, in Kol Yamitzias, he has a certain gather. For him, Kenish Veren, that something which is be'etzem nothing should be considered should become a baler. Should become a baler. For that, you need Atzma Serin Sof, which is not Mugder in Kol Yamitzias. Yeah, we spoke about this last time. This is Klar Dominion. Mitzad Atzma Serin Sof, so there is no definition of what's, he's not Mugder in any column of the Mitzias. There is not Mugder in any of the rules of what is considered right to exist and what doesn't have as a to exist. Mitzad the darg of Giluim, every Gilei has a certain function. So together with its function, so it's it's under this misgeres of the certain legabi bli gvul, gvul is shalei be'erech. And the era bli gvul can't be machlet that gvul shouldn't have erech. Legabi bli gvul has no erech. And legabi the sfira samalchus, a mitzias, a dover which is mugmul zvan amakim, or chves a dover gashmi has no erech, has no value. So, and Malchus is mugder in that definition. It could create something else, but that something which be'etzim has no value, or the kiyah gashmi which has no erech, should through his havas yet be considered. He should become a mitzias. So the tnu of being a makkah for a zul, that's Malchus. But in order but we're dealing with a mitzias which said that's why has no tfisas makkah. So in order for a davar which said that's is einoi should become a yeshna, you need to have that aspect in the Elokus atmosphere itself, which is not mugder in the gedarim of ein v'yeshna. There's no definition by him what's mushlo and what's heder and what's a mitzvah, what's a balerach. But mele dafke mitzad atmosphere itself, there could be that an ein should become yeshna. Versteht the meaning? You have just to bring out just a dugmal davar, but it says there it brings us the member of which they does in the Maimer of Lyceum Shakela. There's a Shakavatari in Sarnak Daily Yisrael. If the union of Torah mitzvahs and Avedis Hashem, if it's just for the sake of the Nevrayim, let's say Sabrias, or let's say Gavaya, the Ebesher Kaviyachol gain something from it. So there's still a more state in certain Swarm state that there's that Avedis let's say Gavaya. Vavat Yigdana Kech Adnik Asher Dibarta that through Avedis Adim Remesiv Kayach with a Maya Shalmayla. Different Mamare Chazal, that the union of Torah and mitzvahs is something which Kaviyachol is negea to the Eibishers. Let's say the Elikus. And I'm mostly lenita Torah elo tzar v'emes abrius. And mechata matifel b'y v'rab shech matasolay and mitzadakta matitin. That the Vedas Adam is not for the sake of the Eibishter, but it's just for the sake of Nivraim. Tzar v'emes abrius. The Chassidus, the beer is the mitzad the Malik Olam, the mitzad the Darga because that's Malubish and Kalim, and it's Be'erech and Ibrahim, mitzad that Darga. There is a Tisas Makam Tavet Sada. Mash'eki mitzad Eri and stuff. Seif Kolam and the with Eibusher is beyond Elumis. So then he's Bligvon, Elumis legabi him, Elumis Harkolochshiv, legabi that Darga and Tzadakta Matitale. So and what's about legabi Atzmus? Legabi Atzmus is just higher than Amal and Seif. So the Gatzmus, legabi Atzmus, Aved is Tefes Makam. Mitzad Seif Kalaman is also a certain it's a certain Inyan. Its Inyona is its function is to bring out a certain quality of Elikus. The aspect of the Eibusher is bligvul. His Inyan is the Eibusher is bligvul, not the aspect of Elikus. The Eibusher is beyond any definition at all. His Inyan is to express the fact that the Eibusher is Ein Seif, and Ein Seif as a Metzias of Ein Seif. Mitzad the gather of Ein Seif, Gvul has not Tfisas Makim. And Nivra is garnished, and he can't change that. Mitzad the Darga of Eira B'li Gvul itself. Mashiach Atzmos is not beyond, and he's not limited at anything. You can't say that without Atzmos is even beyond the definition of B'li Gvul. So Mitzad him, of course, the Nivra is Mufla. But he's not Mugder in anything. So if he decides that a person putting on tefillin should mean something to him, it's going to mean something to him. Not because be'etzim putting on tefillin is, but the Darga of Ma'al Kalam and putting the Aveda Sa'adim is be'etzim tevis makim. You say a person that's affected by noise. He can't decide otherwise. He's a limited human being, and if there's noise, it takes away his concentration. You think you have someone that mitzad noise doesn't touch him, but he's not limited at something that he's beyond stuff. So if he wants, he could decide that thing should be tevis makim. It's a different type of tevis makim. It's tevis makim because b'lechatchila that Indian is something which affects me, or because the alien has no definition at all. So you can't say that legabe him something can't be. You can't say that legabe him is forced either. Nothing can force him. But there, Abakavan the Koda is in order for there to be a Savas Yesh Ma'ayin, which is to take some to be Mahava Nivra. We're not dealing with the technical fact of from something to nothing. See the technical reality. It didn't exist, now we're able to touch it. The question is that this thing should become a something tak. That there should be now a new type of reality called a physical heaven. There should be a behemoth. There should be this. This should be considered a being, a mitzvah. That's another, a new reality, a new mitzvah. Mitzad malchus or mitzad giluim, gvul is not a mitzvah. Or a mitzvah nivra gashmi is not a mitzvah. And they can't decide otherwise. They're mugder on that. The fact that mitzad malchus tak is a mocker for to be mahava, to give it tefis magam to azulas, but the fact that you're able to be machadish this zulas yesh ma'ayin, that's mitzad atzmin said itself, which is not mugder in anything. So mitzad him, even you don't have the hagdaris of what's eina and what's yeshne. And mitzad him, there can be he could take even from eina machan to say yeshne. Versteht ihr mich nicht?
How is Malchus nice in Makim something that doesn't even exist?
I'm saying the Pnimi is it's because Malchus Tak is that's Mitzad Inyona of Atzmos in Sof. Malchus is not nice in Makim. I'm saying how is the fact that it can be Mahava Yesh Ma'ayin. I'm saying the Pnimi Yusei be'etzem mitzad the tzir of Malchus. So the Nivra Tak is mushlo. The Nivra Tak is not a Metzias. Mitzad the gather of Malchus itself without Atzmos in itself, wollte nicht gewinnen. The etzem in of tefis makim to azulas, that's Malchus. But the tefis makim in a way that should be mahava mitzias, to be a makkah for a mitzias which is be'etzem and einay. So that's because Malchus is miyuchad with Ein Sof. And mitzad Ein Sof, you don't have this agdara of what's yeshne and einay. The Rebbe is saying, what's the pnimis of the yichud of Malchus with Yisod? What's the pnimis of the yichud? The pnimis of the Rebbe is saying different words, but the pnimis of the yichud is on one end. What are we saying? Let's say in the Pashta even. Malchus is a makar for Zulas, and Midas are Shel Zulas. So how could there be a yichud between Malchus and Zah? How could there be a yichud Malchus and Midas? Because the Pnimi is from the Malchus and Zah is the Amitis in Malchus and Zah is to reflect the Inyona the way they are. So that the Amitis is this Havas comes from Atzmos itself, which is not mugder in anything. And the Melech, from one hand, if he wants, nothing has a Tizas Makim. But if he wants, it could be a Mitzias. The Yichud of Malchus with Midas, that's a reflection of the Amitis in of his Havas. His Havas is from Atzmai itself. How does it play Tzefat L'Poel? That both of these truths are true. Mitzad Atzmai, the Nivra cannot be. But the Eivish is not Mugdir that things can be. I mean, and can Yema Havas. I'm saying that's the... Okay, lassen wir ein bisschen weiter. Lassen wir sehen ein bisschen weiter. Der Rebbe sagt das Seif. הביורים שבחסידות בדעת חלקי הפרטי של מידע אני קשורים זה בזה. Das Sachen darf sich reintrachten. הביורים שבחסידות בדעת חלקי הפרטי של מידע אני קשורים זה בזה. Means all the Inyona of Meida Ani have a kesher. As it says, Al pi the Inyona of Pardis. You have an Inyona of Meida Ani waking up in the morning. A person thanks the Eibusher for waking up in the morning, giving him a neshama. And there's 4 biyurim. You have the bir al pi pshat. You have the bir al pi remes tchis hamesin. You have the bir al pi drush. The bir al pi seid. And each one is different Inyona. I mean, I did thank him for the fact that he's alive. Getting a yirah from Meida Ani on to be honest when he gives back a pikadon, to be loyal when giving back a pikadon. And this mechazikim the Emunah and Tchias HaMeisen, verschiedene Inyanim. Or the Sheidish that is Chveis Machos, is Michot B'Tisayid, Inyanim which have no kesher at all. But al Chassidus, all these 4 Inyanim have a connection. He says, Abiurim Shebechassidus, Al Chalga Aparish, Meida Ani Kshurim Zebazeh. I'm saying, the Rebbe says in the beginning of the Kuntres, that Chassidus is, the whole Torah is Ein Sof, but it's Ein Sof, the way Ein Sof is connected to a certain, the way it's Mislabish and Alavush. So the Pshittus Ein Sof is not Meir Begoldi in Shar Chalga Torah. Not only is not Meir Begoli, but someone that Bechlal doesn't sense when he learns Torah that it's Ilkus. Even a Yid would be margish that Torah is Chachmazish like Kadosh Baruch Hu, but the Pshittas Ein Sof is not Meir Begoli in Shar Chalka Torah. Mashayk in Chassidus, the Pshittas Ein Sof is Meir, either is Levushim, but the Chassidus, the Levushim aren't Mailam on the Pshittas, because it's Nirgash that the Inyona is not the Levushim. The Levushim are just the Hechatimtze to bring out the Ein Sof. So the Rebbe is saying here, you have different, Niglas is this beer, you have the beer in Drush, you have the beer in Remes. The Rebbe is saying that all the beerim of Chassidus of Meida Ani, they're all interconnected. They all bring out the same Nekudas HaPnimis. Means there's a Nekudas, and the way the Rebbe brings it out here, on one hand, it's different beerim. The fact that the Rebbe's first beer, that the beer that Chassidus brings of Meida Ani is that there's no Tfisas Smakim Telam Hazeh. If it's not the life of a Yid, or the beer of Yesavas Yeshma'ayim being expressed in the Chor, is different Inyanim. So you can say there's different Inyanim Chassidus. Chassidus being Mavair, the Hedrat Tfisas Smakim, to the Betzias of Elam Hazeh outside of Elikos. Chassidus is Mavair that in of Yesavas Yeshma'ayim expresses itself in the Metzias Elam, the beer of Pidrush, and so Hachassidus die zwei Sachen. Or the beer in Mitzvahs, it's the separate beer. There's being out here that all these beerim are all the same Nekuda. I'm saying you have a little bit of a Hamchosha, the Nekuda, that the levushim, the Inyan is not the levush. There's the Inyan of a nekudas apshitis, which is being expressed through the levush. Yes, yeah, the Rebbe is mavaried here. So, Abiurim shebechassidus b'dal chalka pardish meida'an ikshurim ze b'zeh. Kores ha'odom. Sha'achidish yesh ma'ayin bo me'atz b'seirin sof shel malim eilim. Da kore. The person has the hergish that when it's stamped, this Habas Abriya. That's mitzad der lekus, when it's atz b'seirin sof. That he's not mugder in the Gedarim of Eine V'yashne. He's not mugder in the Gedarim what's that there's something which is Nishke Metzias and what's considered Yam Metzias. Any in Geluyim already, you have what's considered an Mitzad Eira Bligvol. So what's considered existent is Bligvol. And Mitzad the Gedarim of Bligvol, what's considered existent, anything that has to do with Bligvol. Mashayk and a Dover Mugbol is Shalei Be'erach to Bligvol. So Mitzad the Gather of Bligvol, a Dover Mugbol has no Metzias. And in each realm of reality, it's mugder and the gedarim of what they themselves have together. So the mugder and the gedarim of what's considered a being, what's considered something which has value, and what doesn't have value, what doesn't exist. The fact that there could be a inin of esavas yesh me'ayin, something which be'etzim doesn't exist. It's of rekia doesn't exist in Sadatzme. And they which is mahavit yesh me'ayin mechodesh. We can machen a nai zach zalverna mitzias, create a new entity that's dafka mitzad atzim said in sof, which is not limited in the gedarim of. That means that he's beyond, before it's established what's considered a being. It means before the whole gather of Metzias. That's Asim said himself. Which is the Amitis Apshitis. Before the whole definition of, before there's the Gidra Metzias altogether. Which is that's Amitis himself. Once you're dealing with a Darg of Tzir, that means there's already a certain definition of what, that being has a taich, or being is bligvul, and then there's already a taich. What the Rebbe is saying here in order means Havas Yesh Ma'ayin, it's before the Gedarim of existence came into being. That Asma said in Sub, before the Gedarim of existence came into being is beyond saying Bligvul, beyond saying Vul. Before the whole category of being, of existence came into being yet. So there is no such a thing as Tzir of a Metzias. I mean, Amitis Hapshitis. It's verstanden, was ich rede, yeah? Ist nicht verstanden? So there's like this. So, Pshas a Mensch comes against Azar Kor. That a Chiddush Yesh Ma'ayin Bo Ma'atzis Nirzof Shem Alam Elam is that's the beer of Bechilik Asid Shemedani. That's Mechazik Da Kor Shekol Elam is Meschachim Tomid Ma'ayin Ve'efes HaMuchlet. That gives them a deeper Havana in the Savas Yesh Ma'ayin, the Havana of a Savas Yesh Ma'ayin. Habir Bechilik Rem Shemedani. What is the Rebbe saying Chilik Rem Shemedani? By Vas Farayid. Who's going to see in waking up in the morning that it's an expression of Yesh Mayim? Yeah, Chassidus explains it, but who's going to sense when they wake up in the morning? Who is that going to be? It's going to be by them a reminder of Tchiyas HaMesim. Who's going to be Margish waking up in the morning that we're getting tired at night, that this is an expression of the Ayin, and waking up in the morning is the expression of his Havas Yesh Mayim? Who's going to be Margish that? Someone that by him alakus pshitas u'mitzias b'eschachos. If by someone is munach, that be'etzem mitzias hanivra is mufrach to be. Doesn't make sense that the world exists, and the fact the etzem delivers ayin ve'efes mamish, and the fact that it exists as all because the Eibush is mahavit. But mitzad atzmai, I mean, if it's clear to a person that mitzad atzmai, the mitzias hanivra cannot be. It's a pella by him that it exists. It's munach by him that be'etzem a mitzias of a nivra cannot exist. So the minute he sees the weakness of the nivra, he sees right away an expression of the fact that the nivra be'etzem is garnished. So the Rebbe says here that b'shas ayid fashteit. There's two I found him in understanding the Havana of Yesh Mayim. There's one Havana of Yesh Mayim, the simple Havana that the Rebbe says in Tanya Shechet B'Amuna, that the Nivra Mitzad Atzmai, the Nivra Mitzad Atzmai doesn't contain the ability to exist, Mitzad Atzmai. Before the Eibush created it, Shemayim didn't exist. Not only didn't exist, it didn't have even the potential to exist. It's a garnished. Ayin ve'efes mamish. That's from the Nivra's point of view. Here the Rebbe is adding, B'shas Yid Fashteit, that the fact that something which be'etzem, there was no such a concept. There was no such a thing, a Shemayim, before the world was created. A Metzias of a Shemayim didn't exist. There was no such a concept. And the fact that, what does it mean there's no such a concept? That means there's no Seheisish Metzias. It's according to the Gdarim of reality, Mitzad Chveis Erim, Mitzad Malchus Atzilus exists, a Lukus exists, a Metzias of a Nivra Gashmi, of a Kadra Artist, such a concept didn't exist. The fact, and who brought it, so there's one Eifin is, it didn't, the Kadra Aretz, Mitzad Atzma is a non-existent thing. Was a not, didn't exist. But now, once you understand that from Vanit Stamtis, from where does it come, the Kayach to take this not, and to make it a whole realm of, make it a whole, now it's an existent being, there's a Metzias of Kadra Aretz, that comes from Mitzad Atzma, which is not Mugdir in the Gedarim, of what's considered a being, what's not considered a being, what's and what's not. So that gives a whole deeper understanding in the Musig of Yesh Mayim. Not only that the Nivra Mitzad itself didn't exist, but even Mitzad the Makra Mahava, you say, there's no Tfisas Makim to the Nivra. Let's see what the Rebbe says here. Habir B'chilik Rem Shemedani. It says, Kibim is Havas Elmas Haysa, the spheres of Malchus Mitzad, and Kibim Elmas Tefis of Makim Legaba, Lehoyas is Chachas of Cholikim Mitzusum. Maybe I'll just bring out this point. And so saying verstandig. I'm saying do I have some time? They learned this before, or you're reading the words the first time? This is learned. Good, so learn this a So I'm saying the Parsha says, when you say the Musik of Esavas Yesh Mayim, so you have the Parsha that Rebbe says in Tanya Shiur that you learned it yesterday, 2 days ago. So have Esavas Yesh Meyesh, Esavas Yesh. What's the Rebbe Mevayer? What's the beer, the Hechrich Sichli, that's Esavas Hasi B'chol Rega V'Rega, and if Mashenkin by what's the Shedish Atos and Seichel? That they don't down Maisi Shemaim V'Odes to Maisi the creation of what a person creates. Now, the Rebbe says there's no dimin at all. Why? Because when a person creates something, he's not creating anything new. Means there was a Chveis Ashtikol Zilber, the cup didn't exist before, but it's not. So you say the cup is a new thing, but the cup is not a new thing. There was potential in the Chaimer for the cup to exist. When you have a Shtikol Chveis Ashtikol holds, even though it wasn't yet in the form of a nice, beautiful Aron Kodesh there, but the wood has the potential that if you're going to work it out a certain way and sand it to make it this and that, it could be malubish in that form. So you're just bringing out, you're bringing out tzura that the chaymer contained lechatchila the potential of such a tzura. So you're not being mechadish anything. Chiddush means, what's the dogma of a chiddush? That mashegin yesh ma'ayin, the nivra mitzadatzim that didn't have the potential to exist. You're not dealing with the chaymer which had the Mitzad Atzmai, there's no such a concept. It didn't exist. There's no such a concept at all. Mitzad Atzmai, Shemayim v'Aretz don't exist altogether. So what's the dogma Chassidus? The dogma is when you get to Zika 7 Yeshmain. When you get to Zika 7. When a person throws a stone, why is it that Kolzman, his Keach, is pushing the stone is going to be in the ear? But when the Keach Hayat is mistalik from the Evan falls down. Why is that? Because the Evan doesn't have the potential. The fact that the Evan is flying is not because you're bringing out something which exists within the potential of the stone. The Evan has no potential to fly. It doesn't have the ability to fly. So the fact that it's flying in the ear is all thanks to the fact that there's a Keach Hayat pushing the stone. But the Evan Mitzadatzmi can't fly. So the minute the Keach Hayat goes away, the Evan Mitzadatzmi doesn't have the ability to fly. So al derech zeh, the Nivra Mitzadatzmi is an ayin ve'efes. The fact the Nivra doesn't have the potential to exist, doesn't have any potential altogether. It's ayin ve'efes mamish. So the fact that it exists is because the Eibush is creating it. So it's mash'ink, but the Nivra Mitzadatzmi doesn't have the potential, doesn't have the efsharis to have the tchun of Mitzias. So Kozman the Eibush is mahavit, it does faran. The minute there's the silik of the Keich HaMahavit, so the Nivra Mitzadatzmi is an ayin ve'efes. That's I'm not going into the pratim that Natamim, the Luchor, maybe the Eibush is different because he did create one. But Akapana, the Kuntres of the Varm is that what Alter Rebbe's Mavayir is that the Nivra Mitzad Atzmai, it's an ayin. It means that there isn't even there isn't any Hachshara Mitzad the Mitzias Nivra for it to exist. So the fact that it does exist is all because the Eibush is creating it. But from its point of view, it doesn't have doesn't have the Hachshara to have the tchun of existence. So Kolzman, the Eibush's Mahavit exists. If the Eibush starts being Mahavit, it doesn't exist. When you get to Kriyas Yamsuf, that the fact that the water can't stand is not the fact that water can't stand up firm as a wall is not as mufrich as the fact that an ayin ve'efes should exist. The fact that water can't stand like a wall, is the water flows, that can't stand firmly. It doesn't have the tchun of being firm. But the fact that the Metzias Hanivra not only didn't exist, but it cannot exist, it can't contain the tchun of existence. That's more. The fact that it exists is more mufrich than the water standing firmly. Like so, yeah, the state that the fact that the water is standing firmly means that the tchun of mayim guf they flow. So the fact that they were standing firmly is because the Eibush's Keach. The minute the Eibush's Keach went away, so now the mayim are going to be the way they are mitzad their nature. Mitzad their nature, water flow. So Koshim Kavachemer the Nivra, the Mitzadatzmi is ayin ve'efes mamish, and it's heipich mitziuse, heipich tivei, for it to exist. So Allah is kama that if there will be the afsaka of this habos, the Nivra will be chayzul kadmuse, and mitzad tivei, he's an ayin ve'efes. And that's all mitzad the Nivra's point of view. Here the shaila is something else. The shaila is when a person is throwing a stone, the Inyona of flying is something which the stone doesn't contain even the potential to fly. That's true, but you have. From one that the stone is flying, you have a Keach Hayat, which is throwing the stone. Then, mitzad Keach Hayat, the fact that mitzad the Yad, if he's going to throw the stone's going to fly. From the point of view of the Yad, it's not a Chiddush Yeshmayin, the fact that the stone, it's not a Chiddush. The person has Bekeach, that if he's going to throw a stone, the stone's going to fly. It's not Heipecha, it's not the Heipecha Mitzias. That's a mention, the Evid doesn't have the Yichelis to fly. But the person has Bekeach that if he's going to throw a stone, the stone is going to fly. Mashayk and Lamaila, when you say there's Havas Yishmael, it's been asked and said itself, so it doesn't mean that Lamaila there's a Kayach. That mitzad this Kayach, mitzad the Makir, the world has a Mitzias. Even mitzad the Makir, mitzad Atzmi, the world has no Tfisas Makam at all.
You're saying it should be ayin ve'efes?
No, it should be. I'm saying a little different. What I'm saying is like this. What I'm saying is the shayla is like this. That's the Rebbe saying that's good dogma. That's even the mashal of Keach Hayat. So from the point of view of the stone can fly. But mitzad the Keach Hayat, there is a Keach in the nefesh, the Keach Hazrika. It's a Keach to throw. And so the Inyan of throwing is what's negate to what the Rebbe wants to bring out here. The Inyan of throwing of a stone flying has a tfisa smokim mitzad the nefesh. One of the Keichas of the nefesh is to cause things to fly. So this act expresses him. So it has a tfisa smokim l'kaviyim. Let's say it in that way. It means the Inyan of a stone flying, is it mufrach? Mitzad the point of view of the Evan, it's mufrach. The Evan can't fly. But mitzad the point of view of Keach Hayat, the fact that a stone flies is a mitzias. It's an Inyan that expresses one of his abilities. A person has the ability of throwing, And this ability is expressed in the fact that a stone is flying. So before a stone, someone's going to ask, a stone in the air has any, does Nitzias have any substance? So from the point of view of the stone, it has zero substance at all. From the point of view of the Keach HaZrika, there is an activity of a stone flying. So that's because that expresses him, that's one of his Keiches. So the Shal is like this. The Metzias of Rekiah Mitzad Atzma is Ein Vefes Mamish. That's true. But now, so the Shal is like this. We're looking at a Rekiah. See, there's the heaven today. There's a heaven, there's an earth, there's a table, a chair. Before the world was created, there was no concept of a chair, no concept of a table, there was no concept of any of these things. Before they were created. Ein Vefes Mamish. And they're Mufrach Legamri. But now, the Eibush has the Keach HaYisavos. So the Inyan of being Mahava a table, is that an Inyan Legabi Elokus? Mitzad Elokus, is there an Inyan of Ishavas HaMetzias? Not from the point of view of the table. Once there was Ishavas right now, so what's the Metzias of a table? That's the Metzias of Gatazeh table. But I'm saying is, the table as an expression of the fact that the Eibush is able to create. Is that a Metzias before Ishavas? From the point of view of the Keach, does the in and of a world being created, does it have any value mitzvah the fact that it expresses his Keach? So once you understand that this Havas is mitzvah Atzma Serin Sof, a different Kodesh. Shaykh Munna is bringing out, the Rebbe connects to Shaykh Munna later, but Shaykh Munna is bringing out how the Nivra is always dependent on the Dvar Havai. But it's because the Nivra mitzvah Atzma has no existence outside of the Dvar Havai. But maybe the Dvar Havai is Inyan. Is expressed with the fact that he's being Mahava Nivra. Maybe the Dvar Havaya's Inyan is to bring out that Hu Amar Vayei, and this the good of Hu Amar Vayei is expressed in the fact Ad Kadekach Hu Amar Vayei, that if he says that something doesn't make sense to happen, it's going to happen. So the fact that Hu Amar Vayei is expressed in a Nivra, in a Nivra being this Havayei Shmayim. So then, even though a Nivra existing has any Tzvah Samakim, it's like mitzad the Nivra doesn't make sense for the Inyan to exist. But mitzad the fact that it expresses the Keach HaYisavos of a Lukus, there is such a Tismakim, such an Inyan of a Nivra being Misav. So the Rebbe is saying a little more. We'll see, there's not as the brother goes back to Mercatus, but the Rebbe is saying here that once you understand that this Havos is Mitzad Atzma Serin Sof, Atzma Serin is not Mugdar in any Inyan. It's not shaykh to say that there's a certain Inyan in Atzma Serin Sof which is expressed through his Havos Eish. It's not shaykh to say that there's a certain content, that the Rakia expresses that aspect in the course that the Eibush is Yachal HaHavos. If this Havos stemmed from an Inyan Prati in the course, you see, and the Inyan Prati was Yechedes LaHavos, so that Kayach was expressed in the Metzias Hayesh. But here, this Havos doesn't express him at all. Even from his point of view, this Havos doesn't express him. The world has not Tfis Makim to him at all. It's not the Mitzad Atzmi, the world has a Chshibus Legabi him. Since the Eibush is not Mugdar and Igdarim, so whatever he wants, there could be. Even something which has no shaykhis to him at all, if he wants it to exist, it exists. Not because this Metzias expresses a certain aspect of this. Mitzad Atzma in itself, which is not Mugdar and any Igdarim, is not shaykh to say that there's an Inyan which is expressed in this activity. If I stay the meaning. Let's see the Lashon inside. It says like this. It says, Kores ha'odom she'ba'chidish yesh ma'ayin bom u'atzin serin sosh ma'alim me'ilam mesabir v'chidik zeh she'medani. Mechazek es ha'kore she'kol ha'elam es mischachim tomid ba'ay v'efes ha'much. It's mechazik, the kore that the Metzias ha'nivra is mufrech l'betachlis. It means it's the fact that it exists is only because the Eibush wants it to exist. But mitzad atzmai, the Metzias ha'nivra has no value. Mitzad atzmai. So they were saying here, not only mitzad atzmi, mitzad the geder ha-mitzias, mitzad the mashrakia, even mitzad the makar, it has not tfisas makim. He's creating it. He's creating it, but the fact that it has not tfisas makim is not magdir. He's not mugdir that he can only create things that have a tfisas makim. Even though it has no tfisas makim, whatever he wants is going to happen. If I stay the meaning. Why? If this house would be mitzad Inyan of Malchus, what's the Inyan of Malchus? Malchus is the koyach to give it to the smokim to Azulas, the koyach to be a mocker for a yesh. So mitzad Malchus, versteht man that Shemayim can't exist, mitzad atzma. But maybe Malchus, the koyach Havos in Malchus is Inyan, which is lahave Zulas, to give it to the smokim for Azulas, is expressed in this Havos. From his Inyan is expressed in this Havos. The B'dukah was like I say when it gets to Zikr 7. The Evan flying, from the point of view of the Evan, there's no mucker for it to fly from the Evan's point of view. It doesn't contain any alulis to fly. But if you can ask a person, is there such a thing before you threw a stone? Is there an Indian of a thrown stones flying? From the point of view of the person, there's such a thing because that's going to express his koyach. So al derech here, the nivra mitzad atzmi has not tfisas makam at all. But mitzad the makar if the makar's Indian would be expressed within this havos, so mitzad the makar this havos has a tfisas makam. Since what's the Inyona of Malchus? The Inyona of Malchus is to give the Malchus a certain tnuah of giving it in a smakim to Azulas, being a makkah for a nivra, and this tnuah is expressed in a Sabbath. You say different language. You say the Alter says in Tanya in the beginning that Dvarav the Eibusher said Yehir Rakia became Rakia. So what brings out whatever the Eibusher says happens. Whatever he says goes. The fact that that even something which Mitzad Atzmei doesn't have any Yisayit for its existence, but when he said Yehir Rakia, a Rakia came into being. That brings out the take of the Eibusher's Dibur. So from the point of view of the Nivra, of the Rakia, this Havas has not his makam at all. But from the point of view, it expresses the take of the Eibusher's Dibur. So Mitzad, so there's a Tfisas Makim to the Inyan of a Yesh being Nesaba. There isn't a Tfisas Makim to Rakia. There's a Tfisas Makim to Rakia being created. A Rakia which is created as a result of Yehir Rakia brings out the take of the Eibusher's Dibur. So there is a certain Tfisas Makim to the Metzias HaElamis. Mash'inkin, what you understand? That the Kayach LeMalchus, Mitzad in of Dibur Gufa, Mitzad in of Malchus Gufa, Nush Gekent Havas Anayesh. The fact there's Havas Anayesh is because the Mitzad Atzmi Seirin, which is not Mugdar in any Gidra Metzias. So if it's not Mugdar in any Gidra Metzias, it's not trying to say that what expresses his Takev, that something far, there's no far and there's no close. I'm saying the idea that there's no, the whole Gedra of Takev doesn't exist. There's only him, there's no Gidra Metzias at all. So it's not trying to say that the Metzias expresses a factor of the market. If the makkah is beyond the whole light, before the whole concept of factors existed altogether. Let's see. Let's keep it. Ava mikiva shes havas ima atzma serin sof baruch hu she'ena elam es tefs makim kol gabi klal gabi atzma serin sof. The Welt has not tefsas makim at all. Had it ain't shum nesinas makim l'chol Inyona. Means not only there's no nesinas makim that a shemayim can't be. Even a shemayim as a means to express the fact that the Eibush is Yachal Havas. Ancient Smakam the Chol Inyonim. V'chol Ikrim Mitzuyusim is Chadesh Meir and Sof Baruch.
You're saying Ikrim means
Inyonim means Mitzad the Makar.
Mitzad the Makar.
Yeah. Let's see Lahara 111 just to see the. We'll see the Lashon Ikram Mitzuyusim what the Rebbe means in the Pnim. There's we'll see that more the brother. But let's see in Lahara 111. It says V'afsha Kodesh Hachidush Ba Me'atzma Seidin Sof. Rebbe here the Rebbe touches the race. Afsha Kodesh Hachidush Ba Me'atzma Seidin Sof. Bo Muchrachas Me'akodesh Ilmas Mechodashim Yesh Mai means what's the hechrich that this harvest is Me'atzmus? Because the Nivra Mitzad Atzmai is an ayin. Because the Nivra Mitzad Atzmai is an ayin, that means that because from the point of view of Gidra Mitzis, this thing is a knot. Rakia doesn't exist. So in order for it to take something which by definition is a header and to make it a yesh, you have to be someone which is not defined by the rules of reality, of being. Because if you're part of if you're also defined by reality, so according to the Gdarim of Mitzias, Rakia is an ayin ve'efes. So from Vanish Stamt is that Akar that is Havas comes from that aspect in Elokus before the whole system of being came into being. That's because the Nivra is an ayin ve'efes and Sedatzmi. So what's this Chadish through knowing that it comes from Asim Seir Sof? The Rebbe teaches. לאחרי שהקורא והחידוש יש מאין מביא את הקורא שחידוש בו מעצם סרין סוף, שהקורא זו לא רק שמחזק את הקורא והחידוש יש מאין, אלא שמסיפה בה גם עמק. זה בתייצ'ס. כי הקורא והחידוש יש מאין שמצד עצמי היא, שאין שום נסיסוק מלא יש מצד עצמי חול. Means, if you're speaking about, you're speaking about a heaven. Right now there's a heaven. Does the heaven from its point of view, does it have any legitimacy to exist? Mitzad Gidra Mitzi is Gufah. Is the Rakia something which has the any even potential to contain the quality of existence. So that mitzad the yesh mitzad atzmi ein shum nisas makom kol la yesh mitzad atzmi. It's an ayin ve'efes mamash. Such a concept didn't exist. No such a reality. But aval ein ze mechiach, that we know it, and that's mechiach sof kol sof. That's how it says mechiach atzmus. Because aval ein ze mechiach hadayin she'ein nisas makom gam mitzad pchinas sa'er lamahava. But that doesn't take away that a different word. Legabe the earth didn't has tfisas makim. I was saying before, the etzim in of Havis, we're not dealing with the fact that the nivra exists. We're dealing with the erech of the nivra. You understand what I'm saying? So the shaila is, the Rebbe is saying is that the nivra mitzad atzmi has no erech at all. That's clear. But now when he's now there's a different shaila, and that's machriyat this Havis is mitzad yeshmai. But now it's a different shaila. It could be that this Havis, let's say, is mitzad er. A mitzad er, from Er's point of view, the niver brings out his bligvul. Or from Machos' point of view, the niver brings out the keich HaMachos. Which that's maybe the niver mitzad atzmi is taka ayin ve'efes, but and the fact that the niver exists is a davar chodesh legamri. But maybe the mocker, from the mocker's point of view, the niver has a thisas mocker. The niver expresses him in a certain way. So once you understand that this Havas is Bama Atzmi Seir Nitzav, verstehen that the Nivra doesn't express the Makra at all. Ein ze mechiach hadayin she'elin is in asmakim gam es at pchinas eir mahava yisei. Aval idea akorda she'achidish Bama Atzmi Seir Nitzav shel ma'ala me'elamis, ובא לידי הקורדה שגם מצד בחינת העיר המהווה אין לי שום תפיסה סמוקים. ולכן גם לאחרי שעולה ברצינו להווס. Haisav's Chorege is Chachas Gmura. This is the Rebbe saying over here, different word. Even la'achri shal berseinu lahavas. Even la'achri there's an inel because the Eibush is mahava elam is. So it's not the pshat mitzad this havus. There is a yerida kaviyach. Azil can learn and the mitzad this havus is in a way that there is that elokus is mistamtzim v'neisin makam liyesh. Azil we can't learn it. And if this havus is an even that elokus is mistamtzim v'neisin makam liyesh. So mitzad the makra mahava, the nivra has a thesis makim.
Even such a of the money could have learned
Uh-huh. This is. So they were saying here that yesh ma'ayin is machriach. That's how it's called some asmi and stuff. But what's machriach? Because the yesh is ayin mitzad atzmi, but it's not machriach that mitzad the mocker there's not thisas mocker. The shenachavert. The etzem inyan of that the yesh is me'ayin, that hakara is not machriach. Once the Yid has Akar and Atzma said himself, that gives him the Akar that even mitzad the Makir, the El must have not thisas Makir. But that's already a davar neisa. First he has the Akar that the Nivra is Ayin V'Eves mitzad Atzma. Then he has the Akar that this Havas is mitzad Atzma said himself. When you have Akar and Atzma said himself, you understand that this Havas is Na'if and that even La'achrish, Allah B'Tzein La'avis, El must have is not an Indian. Have not thisas Makir. Not a Pashtunin here. I'm saying, as I have verstanden that mitzad is havos, mitzad the makar I say when you get to Zikr 7. So mitzad the Evan Taka is known as for the stone to fly, but the Gabi Keach Hayad, a stone flying is an Indian, and he's a makar for it. Here the Rebbe is saying that the mitzad the amitis of his havos, the mahave doesn't give any, even from the mahave's point of view, there's no tfisas makim to the mitzvah sayesh. So even what's the pshat that the Eibush doesn't have the nivra? Because whatever he wants, what's will, not because the Indian has it for smakim the gabi, because that's what he wants, not because the Indian is a mitzvah. That changes a lot of. As if a statement the Eibush mitzad atzmi, let's say, is beyond, but this havas is in a way that he lowers himself down to give it to the smakim tailings. Here the Rebbe is saying not like that. since this havos yesh ma'ayin is from a tnua which has to be not mugdar at all, and that's what's behind this havos hayesh. It's something which is a yesh ma'ayin. So even mitzad the makir, there's not tfisa smakim to the mitzias. Favers verter v'lazei viller, not because there's a tfisa smakim to the mitzias either. Yeah, the Rebbe brings a dogma from there's a parsha here up touching our Perek Tanya, but Lomer Fear Zen the Pnim until the end of the Sif, and then we'll sharpen the pratim from earlier. Man versteht ein bisschen die Minion, sie...
So when does that second akara come?
Rebbe is saying that the yesh ma'ayin, the fact that the nivra is mitzad atzmi and ayin, that's machriyat, is havas from atzmi seir sof. But the etzim the nivra is that the nivra is that atzmi is an ayin is not machriyach that mitzad the makar mahava is not tfisa smoking. It's two separate inyan. And the truth is that mitzad malchus, the Rebbe says weiter, mitzad malchus, this havas is in a way that this havas brings out certain inyanim. That means there is an aspect in this havas anivra that it expresses the market. It's in your state, it's a different story, but there's malchus in yani is lahavis. But let's say there is the Eibusher's takeif hadibur that hu amar vayei is expressed in the fact that he's mahavayesh. The fact that he's mahavayesh is mizbata the fact that hu amar vayei. But the fact that the pnimi is hais havas is neveya mesadatz meserin sof, that's neveya from that gives the akara that the fact that he's nesin makim is because azivul the Rebishter. Maybe I'll just say it in this way. It'll be a little bit more things like this. The Rebbe brings before this havas is malchus is yuchad with zov. So the kenzayin azay. The truth is that the efen has havas is in a way that, like I said before, that the Hachassidus state azay that the ayin am havas hayesh like abe the ayin. The yesh has some type of tfisa smoking. Not that the nivra mitzad atzmei doesn't exist. Mitzad b'shas malchus mahava the yesh. So the inyoni of the dibur is mizbat in the fact that he's mahava the yesh. So what brings out the takeif dibur, or what brings out the fact that he's nisim makom to zulas, that he gives us nisim makom for a rakia to exist? It means there is this eifin of his havos is an eifin that the market gives him nisim makom to the mitzias. But we're saying it like this: if there wouldn't have been malchus the miyuchat with Yisaid, so the hergish would be, so we wouldn't have, so then it wouldn't be the mitzvah in of yesh ma'ayin. The mitzad malchus, saying is the fact mitzad malchus to the malchus should give a yachas to something that be'etzem is be'en arech. That's because that's mitzad atzmi said itself. But how is this in expressed? You see, malchus miyuchat Yisaid means that on one hand the hergish is the mitzad alakus. A nivra is mufrach. A nivra is ayin ve'efes. Mitzad midah shel ma'alim malchus. A nivra is a davar mufrach. And l'payel malchus is nesin makom liyesh. How is malchus nesin makom liyesh? So it's nirgash at the fact that because the Eibusher is not limited that he has to be dafka in a form that things aren't tevis makom in it. I'm saying is we have l'payel and giluim we have two efanim. We have Zoh and we have malchus. From Zoh's point of view, the Metzias and nivra has not tevis makom at all. From Malchus' point of view, being Mahava Zulas has yet tfisa smoking. So, is there two separate inyanim, or both of these inyanim express the Atzma said in Sov, which is B'Primiyusa. Is if Atzma is not Mugdar and Enigdar, how is L'Payal Mamash? How is it expressed? How is it expressed? If to be this Havas in a way that what's the mitzvah saying of this Havas? That Ole Bertzene is Zayin Avelt. And all the saying that Rakia should have an erech. Rakia should exist. And that's Malchus. Malchus brings out that aspect that all the that there should be a mitzvah. But if it would be Malchus itself, not Malchus Yuchot just Malchus itself, then it wouldn't be Nirgash then that the fact, maybe because the Chatchila al-Kuz is a Zam Yisar Zach, which Ilmis is Tevis Makam Legabil. Vidas Nirgash, it's not the fact that there's Malchus is because Oliver Tzani, not because Elikus is something which Elam is Tevis Makim. That Malchus, it's Nirgash Malchus, that Be'etzem Mitzad Midis, Elam is Mufrach. That means Be'etzem Mitzad Giluim of Elikus, Elam is Mufrach. So Idas that Lepel Mamish, there is an Inam Mitzad Makim Liyesh, because the Eivish is not Mugdar. The fact that these two Tnuah, side the Tnuah of Midas, which is Shel, the Metzias of Elam, and side the Tnuah of Malchus, which is Nisan Makim, work together, that's because with Pnimius, it's Atzman Seder Sof, which is not Mugdar in the Gidra Metzias. So the Rebbe is saying here is, so was kommt davon? When you understand that, the fact that Malchus is Nisan Makim Liyesh, is not because from the point of view of Malchus, Elam has a Tfizas Makim, but because that's an expression of the fact that the Eibush is not Mugdar in anything. And if he wants a Welt, can sein a Welt, not because Legabi him Welt is Tfizas Makim, because that's what he wants. So then, even la'achrish Oliver saying there should be a Welt, there's no Tfizas Makim for Welt. Without understanding this Indian Welt gesagt, that mitzad the Darga of Malchus, Elam must have a Tfizas Makim. So Elam is our Neveah from Malchus, and mitzad Malchus, being Mahava Metzias, has meaning. By definition, has meaning. So the Gabi Malchus, being Mahava Yesh, being Mahava Elam has a chshivas. Mashiach, what you understand, that the fact that Malchus is Nesim Makim Liyesh, that's be'etzim an expression of the fact that Atzman Seder itself is not Mugdar Klal. So the fact that it's nice, the Malchus is Nesim Makim Liyesh is an expression of the fact that Atzman is not Mugdar. And maybe whatever he wants goes. So if whatever he wants, it's not that Malchus is Nesim Makim Liyesh. It's because that expresses the fact that the Eibush is not Mugdar. And if he wants, there could be a Metzias. So then even la'achrei is Havos, the whole chshivas of this Havos is that this is what the Eibush wants. Not that the world has, not that the Elamis have any value at all. Versteht die Minion? Being at a certain amchashi here, but just I'm saying a dogma, just this comes in a different way. Maybe just a dogma to the Sinyan. Saying you have Lamashal that one of the Inyona Baal Shem Tov is the Chiddush of Ashgacha Pratis for Lamashal, that there's no Tnuah in Welt that's not bekavana mechuvenes. Every single thing that happens is based on bekavana. Via Daily Yisrael before the Baal Shem Tov learned that things happen just by chance. What do you mean things happen by chance? But the Havana Pshita is the Eibush created the world, and he wanted, let's say, that the lion should have, I mentioned this once, no? That the lion should have a nature to bite, and that the sheep should be a chveis, shouldn't have the courage to fight back. So that the Eibush created the nature. The lion is a teirif, and the sheep is the keves is a davarach. And let's say the Eibush wants that the lion, there should be in the same room saya lion and saya keves. So are you going to have a special ratzon that the keves should be nitraf by the lion? Or once the Eibush wants the lion, he should have the tchuna of being teirif. And he wanted the keves should be something which doesn't fight back, let's say. And he wanted it to be in the same place. So B'meila is that, as a result of wanting that and that, B'meila, kach is going to happen. You don't need Ashgacha Pratis for all the tzitzos. The Eibush wanted these tvoim and these tchunas, and as a result of that, many things happen. Wahrscheinlich gesagt nicht da ist that the Eibush wanted that the wind should be something that blows away leaves. He wanted that leaves should be things that blow away. But Alpha became, let's say the Eibush wants there should be a wind in this room and there should be a leaf here. But the fact that the leaf is going to fry, you need a special fly, you need a special ratzon. The Eibush wants it to be a wind here, and he wants it to be a leaf. And they're Oliver saying that the wind should blow a leaf. So why do you have to have a special? The Abashant says no. Not only there's a ratzon for the wind to be in the room, there's a ratzon for the leaf to be here. There's a kavana pratis that the stone was that the leaf was affected by the air. But that's the chorah davar tetzah. But the shaila is if mitzadis havors the niver has it tizas makim. Means be'etzim there's nothing exists. All they're saying there should be a world and there should be a wind, there should be leaves, there should be a chveis laganza seder shtalshlos. So if you learn that mitzad Eibush himself, if you wanted, there didn't have to be anything. But all they're saying to lower himself down and to give it tizas makim to our reality of this world that we're living in. So mitzad that darga, the world has a tizas makim. There's tizas makim, and then and b'meila, if you want, let's say, a nature of a wind and you want a leaf, there's going to be results. That's if mitzad the darga of the makarais havos. There's a tismakim to the mitzvah celebrate. So you're going to say, once you want this and you want that, you're forced to want something else. But if malchus is not a nituk from Atzma Seder itself, but that's when we have an Eibush which is not mugdar in anything, and that Eibush which is not mugdar in anything, that's the pnimius of malchus. So it's a shaykh to say that once you wanted the ruach to have this teva and that should have that, and now you're mugdar, it's going to have to be a result number 3 is going to happen. He's not mugdar anything. The only value to anything is the fact that he wants it. There's no tfisas makim to the teva. The fact that the nivra has a tfisas makim is because kach ole b'rtzai nay. There's no aspect in Elokus which inside that aspect the nivra has any value at all. If this house is in a way that mitzad the mahave, the nivra has some value, so you're going to say, so not everything is going to be mitzad his ratzon. Certain things is going to be mitzad the geder amitzias. Mash'enkin, once you say that even that there is no aspect in Elokus which inside that darga velt has a tfisas makim. It's all an expression of the fact that he's not mugdar. And the fact that Malchus needs to makim to Welt, not because in the darga of Malchus, Welt means something. But at the darga of Malchus, nothing means anything. It's just, this is what he wants, and he's not mugder in anything, so you can't say that he has to be beyond. If he wants that the world should be, but what's the chshivas but of the world existing? Because that's what he wants, not because the world mitzad atzmei has chshivas. So it's the fact that he wants. You can't say that his ratzon should be mugder by the tchunis of the nivra, because the whole hatzdok of the nivra is his ratzon. You understand what I'm saying? The Rebbe is saying is that even though a person understands that the be'etzem the world doesn't exist, the fact is because the Eibush creating it, but once the Eibush created it, so the world has value, and the Eibush is kaviyachol say bound to certain gdarim in Welt. And with the gdarim of Welt, wake up in the morning is not an expression of ayin. If someone's attitude is that the Eifen Eis Havos is that the Eibush mitzad the darga of his Havos is Mason Mokim, and there's a certain chshivas that the world has mitzad the darga of Malchus. So then the Metzias Elam has a chshivas, not mitzad atzmid, mitzad the fact that the Eibush became a mocker lahavis. But the Metzias Elam has a chshivas. You're not gonna. So the fact that mitzad atzmid is ayin ve'efes is not gonna be with the ganze teikif. But mainly you're not gonna see in waking up in the morning that it's Yeshmayim. Masha'enkin if the Shasayid has that akara that be'etzem this house is mitzad atzmid seidin sof. So there's never an aspect in a Lukus where the Elam is having chshivas, even mitzad him. It's all his ratzon. Outside of his ratzon, nothing has any value. So then a yid was let with hazar korah that even mitzad the Lukus, even mitzad the fact that the Eibush is mahavevel, he's not the fact that he's mahavevel is not that he's in a tnua now of being nesen makam leilamis. Even if he's being mahave is all it's all his ratzon. So then he won't give any chshivas to the Metzias Elam. Klal. Er wird keine Margish an jeden Tag, that is Seif sich mein Mamish. Das ist a deep Indian. Man sieht das nicht als a pashte Indian, but man darf sich gut reintrachten in dem. Hope it's coming out a little clear. Es kommt reis klar dem Indian, versteht ein bisschen.
He goes a while back, he explained Chesed with Tiferes in a way that it brings out this, that Tiferes is that
The Yuchud.
I make it that my Indian is that it should be my Chesed. It's not about.
That's something else. That's that. There's the alien. I'm saying here the word is there's the Inyan of Malchus. And Malchus is Nesen Makom Liyesh. There is the Inyan of Malchus. And Malchus is Taka Nesen Makom Liyesh. The is what's the pnimius of Malchus being Nesen Makom Liyesh? Is it that mitzad the darga of Malchus? Yesh means something, or that Malchus is expressing the fact that the Eibusher is not mugdar. I'm saying, Legabe aspects there's no gdarim, and he doesn't have to be in a state of beyond anything. Malchus with his side, they bring out the nekoda that whatever he wants. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's not that the Rebbe says in the Hazard of Tashlan Atei, that there's basically the same nekoda. In Ishtalshus, you have Lemailim, you have Ein Sof, and you have Malchus. You have a Makar from Metzias, and you have Lemailim from this Makar from Metzias. They're miyuchet. Doesn't mean they're miyuchet. That the pnimius their Indian is Tzare's bringing that Atzma Seidin Sof has no definition, and he's not mugdar that he has to be beyond whatever he wants. And if he wants yes, yeah. But how is the nirgash malchus that the fact that it's yeah that the nivra is a tivus makom is because that's what he wants is the malchus is miyuchet with Yisai. Means nirgash the be'etzem mitzad gidra mitzias. This thing didn't have to exist altogether. It's mufrich to be, and the fact that it exists is only because he wants. It's nirgash that the fact that it exists is only because he wants. Yeah, but that's a bit more sharp he's bringing. We'll try to. They asked me to finish early because they have to do they're preparing this room for a kinus. But we'll maybe we'll sharpen this Nachamal mitvach, and then we'll go weiter. I'm saying this is just like this will just erase some clearer the minion.
Very Chavadai is that's what you're saying. He's not
Kind
saying
of covers himself era Seif.
It's almost sick if it's before or after. If Beit Chavav is coming after
Right,
Shaykh
right. It's not about it's not.
But that's this is
And the saying, same the Kuda, that even this is much more than just say the Kalam. That I was saying that even mitzad that it's had to stand on the way it is mitzad Asm and so forth. But it's mechadet zayin.
it's had a Gemara thing. It's not just had this with smoke.
Yeah, it's stronger. Here, what I was saying here.
Over here saying it's
Yeah.
Mugda, it's not.
Yeah.
That's not. There it's
Higher than Gedra Mitzvahs. So we'll finish Sif Design Designers. Just we have to clarify this prat. Because it's not a bisschen more sharper.